In the deep silence of space far away from Earth, a human listening station floated quietly, its giant dishes always turning, always searching, scanning for signals in the endless dark. Most of the time the machines heard nothing but empty noise, the background whisper of the universe. But on this night, something changed. A sound came through the static, faint, broken, but real. The operators leaned closer, their screens flickering with strange waves. At first it sounded like static, then like crying, then suddenly a voice not in any known human language. It was high, trembling, desperate, like someone calling from the edge of death. Help. Please. Rescue. The machine translated roughly. The officers froze. They had trained for signals from stars, from comets, from lost probes, but not this. This was a rescue message. Someone out there was asking for help. The commander of the station, Captain Reyes, walked in quickly, his face serious. He listened to the broken signal. Arms crossed, eyes sharp. The voice repeated again, each time weaker, each time more distorted. It did not match any alien catalog. It did not match any human ship either. The question grew heavy in the room. Who had sent it and why? Some said it was a trap. Maybe pirates had found a way to mimic distress signals. Maybe it was a lure to pull humans into danger. Others whispered it was first contact, a chance to meet a new species, a moment that history books would never forget. The air was thick with tension. Captain Reyes finally spoke. His voice was calm, but his eyes showed the weight of his choice. "We cannot ignore a cry for help," he said. "If someone is alive out there, we will find them." Orders were given. A rescue ship was prepared. A small but fast vessel named the Artemis. Its crew of 6 checked weapons, scanned supplies, and prepared for the unknown. No one spoke too much, but each felt the same pressure. If this was a real rescue, they would be heroes. If it was a trap, they might never return. The Artemis left the station, engines glowing against the dark. Hours passed as they followed the signal. The closer they came, the stranger it sounded. The words twisted, sometimes human, sometimes alien, sometimes like a voice they knew. The crew grew uneasy, but the signal pulled them on. Finally, they reached the source. In the blackness of space, a huge ship floated silently. It was dark, no lights, no signals, no sign of power. Its shape was wrong, twisted, almost like it had grown instead of being built. Long spires curved out like broken bones. Parts of its hull looked like it was breathing slowly. The crew of the Artemis stared in silence. No one had seen a ship like this before. It was not human, and it was not in the records of any alien alliance. It looked dead, yet the signal came from deep inside it. Lieutenant Sarah, the ship's communications officer, felt a chill as she listened again. The signal was clearer now, the voice stronger. She froze when she realized the words were no longer alien. They were in English, and the voice sounded terribly human. "Help me, please. I am trapped." The crew looked at each other in shock. None of them spoke. For a moment, the silence inside the Artemis was heavier than the silence of space itself. Who was speaking? How could a human voice be inside a ship like this? Captain Reyes gave the order. "Prepare boarding team." His words were steady, but his hand trembled slightly. The crew armed themselves, checked helmets and scanners. The airlock hissed open, connecting their small ship to the silent giant. The passage was dark, shadows moving with each flicker of their helmet lamps. As they stepped inside, a heavy cold seemed to swallow them. The corridors looked wrong, not metal, but something else. Walls curved like ribs. Surfaces pulsed faintly as if alive. The signal echoed again, the same voice, softer this time. "Help me." But now it sounded not like a stranger. It sounded like someone they all knew. The hook was set. Something waited inside the dark ship, and the rescue had only just begun. The air inside the alien vessel was heavy, thick, and strange. The rescue crew from the Artemis moved slowly, their boots echoing on the floor. Each step sounded too loud, too sharp, as if the ship itself was listening. Captain Reyes walked in front, his hand on his weapon, his visor light cut through the darkness, showing walls that looked nothing like human design. The surface was curved, pale and smooth, almost like bone. Veins of faint blue light pulsed beneath the surface, as if the ship was alive and breathing. Lieutenant Sarah whispered, "This doesn't look like metal. It looks like flesh." Her words sent a chill through the team, but no one answered. They only walked deeper, their hearts beating faster with every step. Behind them, Ensign Duran checked his scanner. "No life signs," he said quietly. "At least, nothing I can detect." But his voice shook because the scanner screen kept flickering as if it was fighting something unseen. The corridor split into two. One path led upward into shadow, the other downward into darkness. Captain Reyes hesitated. His instincts screamed at him to go back, but the signal was still there, still echoing in their helmets. "Help me. I am trapped." The captain chose the downward path. The walls narrowed, bending in strange angles, and claw marks scratched the surface. Some were small, some were long, deep, as if something with great strength had tried to tear its way out. The team exchanged uneasy looks. Suddenly a faint sound echoed from the end of the corridor. Tap, tap, tap like footsteps. The humans froze, weapons ready. Scanners showed nothing, yet the sound grew louder, closer. "Identify yourself," Captain Reyes shouted. His voice echoed through the hollow passage. But there was no reply. Only the sound of footsteps fading away into silence. They pressed forward, reaching a wide chamber. It looked like a hall of ribs, tall white arcs rising to the ceiling. Between them, strange pods lined the walls, broken open, empty. The floor was littered with fragments of something hard. Like shells, Lieutenant Sarah bent down, picking up a shard. Her fingers trembled as she realized it was not metal, not glass, but bone. She dropped it quickly. "This isn't a ship. It's a graveyard," she whispered. Then they saw it. Scratched into the wall in shaky letters were human words carved deep by something sharp. The crew leaned closer and read, "Do not trust the voice." The letters were messy, desperate, but there was no mistaking them. Someone human had been here before. Someone had tried to leave a warning. Before they could speak, a sudden noise filled the chamber. A low growl, not from one place but everywhere at once. The walls vibrated, dust falling from above. The team raised their weapons, lights sweeping across the chamber, but nothing moved. Ensign Duran muttered, "We should leave. We should leave now." "Negative," Captain Reyes said, though his voice was tight. "The signal is still active. We're not leaving anyone behind." They pressed on, deeper into the ship. The corridors bent like intestines, twisting and turning. Every step seemed to take them further away from the Artemis. The signal grew stronger, clearer. It was now a voice of someone familiar, someone human. Lieutenant Sarah stopped suddenly. Her helmet shook, her voice trembling. "That voice, it sounds like my brother." The others froze. They too began to hear echoes, voices of people they knew, lost family, dead friends. Each one whispered from the walls, soft and desperate. "Help me, please." The crew's minds filled with unease. Was this real, or was the ship playing with them? At the end of the corridor, they found a sealed door, unlike the rest. It was harder, darker, covered in strange veins. Captain Reyes gave the order, and with effort they forced it open. The metal groaned, then split, revealing another chamber. Inside, the air was colder. The lights from their helmets reflected on strange pools of dark liquid on the ground. In the center lay a broken console. Human design, not alien. It was a survivor's log system, the kind used on old colony ships. Lieutenant Sarah activated it. The screen flickered, showing the last message. A tired, broken human face appeared. His eyes were wide, his voice shaky. "If you are hearing it means you came. Listen to me. This is not a ship. It is alive. It hunts us. It feeds on us. Do not answer the signal. Do not stay. Run." The log cut off suddenly, The chamber grew quiet. Only the sound of the crew's breathing filled the air. Then footsteps echoed again, this time inside the chamber. Slow, steady, coming closer. The scanners still showed nothing. The crew raised their weapons, hearts pounding. The footsteps stopped right behind them, and in the darkness, a voice whispered, "Soft and clear, help me." The rescue crew stood frozen in the cold chamber, their weapons pointed at the shadows, hearts racing. The voice had come from right behind them, yet no one was there. Only the broken console glowed faintly, the survivors' warning still echoing in their minds. "Stay sharp," Captain Reyes ordered. His voice was steady, but the sweat on his brow betrayed his fear. The footsteps had stopped, the whisper had faded still. The sense of being watched was crushing. Lieutenant Sarah's scanner beeped weakly. She frowned, tapping the screen. I'm reading something," she whispered. Faint, very faint life signs. Ahead, the crew tightened formation and moved deeper. The corridors grew narrower, the walls curving like ribs closing in. Strange symbols glowed faintly along the surface, pulsing with a heartbeat rhythm. The air was damp, heavy, as if they were walking through lungs instead of halls. Finally, they reached another chamber, smaller, darker, lit only by the trembling glow of their visors. In the corner, curled against the wall, lay a figure, its skin pale blue, body thin. "Breathing shallow, contact," Ensign Duran said, raising his weapon. The figure stirred weakly, its eyes opened, glowing faint gold. Not human, clearly alien. It tried to lift a hand, trembling, and spoke in broken English. "Q, please." The crew exchanged uneasy looks. Lieutenant Sarah knelt carefully, lowering her weapon. "You sent the message?" she asked. The alien nodded weakly. "Not ship," it stammered, words broken but desperate. "Ship, alive. It eats, all." The words chilled the crew, confirming the human log they had just seen. Captain Reyes crouched, studying the creature. "Who are you? What happened here?" The alien closed its eyes as if remembering pain. "We came. Explorers. Ship caught us. Swallowed us," it whispered. "It feeds on us. We send call. For help. We thought maybe humans come," Ensign Duran hissed. "So it was a trap." His weapon shook slightly. "They sent the message to pull us in." The alien shook its head weakly. "No. We trapped too. Bait," its voice cracked with despair. The crew fell silent, trying to process the horror. This was not a normal vessel. Not even an enemy ship. This was a predator. A living monster drifting through space, pretending to be a derelict, luring others to feed. Suddenly, the chamber shook. The walls pulsed, veins glowing brighter. The alien's eyes widened in terror. "It hears us," it gasped. "It always hears." The crew raised their weapons, light sweeping across the chamber. Then came the sound, wet, slithering. From the walls themselves, a long shadow shifted in the corner, something pulling back into the dark. Lieutenant Sarah's heart raced. She whispered, "There's something moving." The alien grabbed her wrist with surprising strength, its golden eyes wide. "You must burn it. Burn the heart. Or none escape." Captain Reyes pulled her back. "Enough," he snapped. "We're getting answers first." But even as he spoke, the sound of the walls groaning filled the air. The ship was alive and it was awake. They lifted the alien carefully, its body trembling. As they carried it toward the corridor, the lights flickered, the whispering voices began again. This time louder, clearer. Each crew member heard a different voice. Duran heard his mother, long dead, crying his name. Sarah heard her brother, lost years ago in a mining accident, begging for help. Even Reyes heard his own daughter whispering softly, "Daddy, save me." Their steps faltered, their minds clouded. The alien screamed suddenly, "No! Voices lie! Voices trap." The crew snapped back to focus. They rushed through the corridor, the alien's words ringing in their ears. But the ship was changing. The walls shifted, pathways bending. Doors sealing shut behind them. The ship was trying to keep them inside. As they turned a corner, a low growl shook the passage. Ahead, the floor split open, revealing a pit of writhing black tendrils. The crew stopped just in time, the tendrils lashing out like whips, snapping inches from their helmets. The alien pointed a trembling finger. "Not ship, mouth. It feeds," Captain Reyes fired. Plasma bolts burned the tendrils, filling the air with a horrible stench. The tendrils recoiled, the pit sealing shut like a wound. The corridor shook violently as if the ship itself was in pain. They kept moving, dragging the alien with them finally. They reached a wider chamber, a hollow place that felt too silent, too still. The alien gasped, its body weakening. "Here, you see truth," it whispered. It raised a shaking hand, pointing to the far wall. There, carved in blood and deep scratches, were human words again, dozens of them layered on top of each other. "Run. Don't listen. Ship is Hunter, all dead." The crew stared, their faces pale. The chamber grew darker, colder. A heartbeat echoed through the walls, deep and thunderous. The alien's voice cracked as it whispered one last warning. "Now, it comes." The ground shook, the walls split, and something vast began to rise from the darkness. The chamber shook violently, dust and fragments falling from the ceiling. The humans raised their weapons, their light sweeping across the walls. The alien survivor clung to Lieutenant Sarah, its body trembling, golden eyes wide with terror. A sound came, low and deep, like a heartbeat echoing through the ship. Boom, 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 the walls pulsed with each beat, glowing veins brightening as if blood was rushing through a body. Ensign Duran whispered, "This isn't a ship. It's alive." His words felt heavy, final, as if naming the truth gave it more power. The floor beneath them rippled like water. The crew stumbled, trying to keep balance. Then the surface split open and long, fleshy tendrils whipped out. Snapping through the air, the crew fired, plasma bolts lighting the chamber. The smell of burning flesh filled their helmets, but the walls healed, closing the wounds in seconds. The tendrils only grew thicker. "Hungrier," the alien cried out. "It feeds! Always feeds! You must run!" Captain Reyes shouted, "Form a circle! Cover each other!" The crew moved back to back, weapons blazing. But no matter how many tendrils they burned, more came, twisting out of the walls, the floor, even the ceiling. Then, from the shadows, a shape stepped forward. At first it looked human, a silhouette of a man. The crew froze, lowering their weapons. For a heartbeat they thought it was a survivor, but the shape shifted. Its face melted into another face, then another, cycling through strangers and loved ones alike. The voices came too, dozens of them, overlapping, whispering, pleading, laughing. Lieutenant Sarah gasped, "It's copying us." The figure walked closer, its steps echoing wrong, too heavy, too wet. Its body stretched unnaturally, its arms too long, its smile too wide. The alien survivor screamed, "Not man, not friend. It is the Hunter." Captain Reyes fired. His plasma bolt struck the figure, exploding its chest, but instead of falling it split open, dozens of tendrils spilling out like intestines. The figure shrieked, not in pain but in mockery. The voices of their families screamed from its mouth. "Save me," cried a child's voice. "Help me," begged a woman's voice. "Don't leave me," sobbed another. The crew's hands shook, their minds breaking under the weight of familiar voices. Reyes gritted his teeth. "It's lying. Ignore it." But ignoring was almost impossible. Each voice cut into their hearts, pulling them toward hesitation, toward weakness. The alien grabbed Sarah's arm again, its voice breaking. "The heart! Burn the heart or you all die." The crew pulled back, firing in bursts, forcing the tendrils to recoil. They ran through a corridor, the walls twisting behind them. Ceiling like jaws, the sound of pursuit echoed, wet scraping endless. As they fled, Lieutenant Sarah gasped, "What heart? Where is it?" The alien coughed, blood dripping from its mouth. "Deep center, where all veins meet. But it protects the core. It will not let you reach." Ensign Duran snapped, "We won't make it out, Reyes. We're already inside its stomach." The ship roared, a sound that shook the corridors. It was not mechanical, it was alive, angry and aware. The lights in their helmets flickered, dying. The only glow came from the veins in the walls. Pulsing faster, louder, they reached another chamber. Larger than the last, the walls curved upward, twisting into shapes that looked like screaming faces frozen in flesh. Pods lined the sides, some broken, some sealed. Inside the sealed pods were shapes, human and alien, unmoving, preserved like food. Lieutenant Sarah choked on her words. "Oh my God. It's storing them." For later, one pod cracked, leaking black fluid. A pale hand pressed against the glass. Fingers twitching weakly, it was human. The crew rushed closer, weapons ready, but before they could open it, the pod split apart on its own. The figure inside collapsed onto the floor, coughing violently, its face turned upward, and the crew froze, It was their lost crewmate from the Artemis, the one pulled into the walls earlier. His eyes were wide, his voice shaking. "Captain, help me," Sarah gasped. "He's alive." The alien survivor hissed. "No, not him, it is Trick." The rescued crewmate crawled forward, his skin pale, veins blackened. "Please, don't leave me here." Reyes hesitated, lowering his weapon. But then the crewmate smiled, too wide, too sharp. Black liquid dripped from his mouth. His body twisted, bones cracking, tendrils ripping from his back. The chamber shook as the false crewmate screamed. A horrible chorus of voices filled the room. "You are food!" The walls closed tighter, pods bursting open one by one. Shadows pouring out, shapes half-formed, half human, half alien, all hungry. The alien survivor collapsed, gasping one last warning. "It wakes." "The core wakes." Captain Reyes raised his weapon, shouting, "Fall back! Now!" But the corridor behind them had already sealed. The only way left was deeper, toward the heart of the ship. The walls trembled as the chamber filled with shadows. The mimic creature twisted and screamed, its tendrils lashing out like whips. The crew fired desperately, plasma bolts lighting the dark. Burning black flesh that healed almost instantly, Captain Reyes shouted, "Stay together. Don't let it separate us." But even as he spoke, the ship shifted, the floor tilting, the walls bending like a throat swallowing. The humans stumbled, sliding as the chamber stretched into new shapes. Lieutenant Sarah fired at the false crewmate, tears in her eyes. "It's not him. It's not him." The creature shrieked in her brother's voice, then in her own, mocking her pain. The alien survivor coughed weakly, barely able to stand. "You see now? It does not kill quick. It plays. It feeds on fear." The crew pulled back, forcing their way into a narrow passage. The walls closed behind them with a sickening snap, sealing the chamber like a locked jaw. Ahead, the corridor stretched, glowing veins pulsing brighter, faster as if guiding them. Ensign Duran muttered, "It's hurting us." His knuckles were white around his weapon. "It's pushing us where it wants us to go." The alien nodded slowly. "Yes. To the core, the feeding place. It makes you think you choose. But it is its game." The voices started again, echoing in the corridor. This time they were clearer, sharper, impossible to ignore. "Duran, help me, please," said the voice of his dead mother. "Reyes, don't leave me again," whispered his daughter's voice. "Sarah, I need you," cried her brother's ghost. Each step grew heavier, the voices cutting deeper into their hearts. The crew slowed, their discipline breaking. Each looked toward the walls, toward the sound of their loved ones. The alien screamed suddenly, "It lies! Voice is not real. If you listen, you die!" Captain Reyes forced his team forward, shouting, "Ignore them! Keep moving." But even his own steps faltered when he heard his daughter again, her small voice trembling with fear. "Daddy, please, it hurts." The corridor opened into another chamber, larger, darker. A vast pit lay in the center, glowing with red light around the pit. The walls were alive with movement, faces stretching from the flesh, mouths opening and closing as if speaking. Each face mimicked someone the crew knew. Lieutenant Sarah's breath caught. This is hell." From the pit, a massive tendril rose, thicker than a tree. Its surface glistened, covered in the screaming faces of those it had consumed. The voices cried together, "Join us." The crew opened fire. Plasma bolts struck the tendril, burning holes that closed instantly. The creature roared, the sound shaking the chamber. The force knocked the humans to the ground, weapons slipping from their hands. The alien pointed weakly toward a pulsing tunnel. "That way, to the core. But it knows. It will test you first." The crew helped each other up. Dragging their weapons back, they rushed into the tunnel. But the ship was not finished. The walls closed behind them, trapping them, forcing them forward. The tunnel twisted, bent, splitting into 3 paths. Each glowing with the faint light of veins, Ensign Duran swore. "It's making us choose." Captain Reyes clenched his jaw. "No. It wants us to split." The voices filled the paths. Louder than ever, each path carried a familiar voice. One cried for Duran, one for Sarah, one for Reyes. Each voice begged, each one sounded so real. The crew's eyes filled with doubt. Their hearts breaking, Lieutenant Sarah sobbed. What if it's true? What if someone really is alive?" The alien shouted, its strength fading. "No survivors. All lies, do not listen." But the voices grew sharper, crueler. They spoke secrets no one else could know, words only their loved ones had said in life. The crew froze, torn between reason and hope. Captain Reyes gritted his teeth, firing into the wall. Enough! It's playing with us! The sound echoed, the voices silenced for a moment, then from the walls a new voice came, deeper, heavier, not a copy but the true voice of the predator. You walk my veins. You feed my hunger. You are mine. The crew staggered, the sound crushing, filling their helmets, filling their minds. The alien collapsed, screaming, "It knows you now! It marks you!" The floor split open, tendrils bursting out, slamming against the walls. The humans fought, firing, cutting, pulling each other back. But the predator was no longer hiding. It was showing its power. The alien gasped one last time, pointing ahead. The heart. Only fire kills it. Burn the core. Then it fell still, lifeless, its body drained by the ship's presence. Lieutenant Sarah cried out, shaking the alien's body. But there was no breath, no life. The last being who knew the monster's secrets was gone. The predator roared, the tunnel walls twisting like muscles, dragging the humans forward. At the end, they saw it. A massive chamber glowing with red light. A heartbeat thundered, shaking the ground. The walls dripped with dark fluid, pulsing veins leading to one great mass. The core, but from its surface hung bodies. Human and alien, still alive, still breathing, trapped in its veins. Their eyes opened, pleading. Their mouths moved, crying for help. Lieutenant Sarah dropped her weapon, her voice breaking. We can't burn it. They're alive. Captain Reyes stared at the horror, his heart torn. The crew's lost crewmate was among them, trapped in the veins. His weak voice reached them. Please, save me. The predator whispered through the walls, its tone mocking. Choose, save them, or burn with them. The chamber pulsed with red light, each heartbeat shaking the ground beneath their boots. The crew of the Artemis stood frozen, their weapons raised but their hands trembling. Before them stretched the core of the living ship, a massive mound of flesh and veins glowing like fire trapped under skin. From its surface, dozens of bodies hung suspended, wrapped in black tendrils. Some were alien, some human, their eyes open, their mouths moving silently, begging, pleading. A few still breathed, their chests rising weakly while others looked pale and lifeless. Lieutenant Sarah fell to her knees, tears in her eyes. They're alive. We can't just kill them. Her voice cracked. The sight tearing her apart. Captain Reyes clenched his jaw, his weapon aimed at the throbbing mass. If we don't destroy it, none of us leave here alive. But the predator knew their hearts. The voices grew louder, sharper, filling the chamber. Each captive spoke with the voice of someone the crew loved. Every word was a weapon. Reyes, please don't burn me. I'm your daughter. Sarah, save me. I'm your brother. I need you. Duran, don't leave me again. Help me. Ensign Duran staggered, lowering his weapon, his face pale, his eyes wide with guilt. What if they really are alive? The predator laughed, a sound like bones grinding. Its voice echoed through the walls. Save them, and feed me. Or burn them, and lose your souls. The crew stood trapped between fear and mercy. Their duty screamed one thing, their hearts another. Lieutenant Sarah shouted suddenly, We can cut them free! We don't have to kill them. She rushed forward, pulling at one of the tendrils. Her brother's face looked at her, whispering, Thank you. But as soon as her hands touched the vein, it came alive, wrapping around her arm, squeezing tight. The face twisted, its mouth opening too wide, filled with black teeth. It screamed in her brother's voice, Mine! Captain Reyes fired, burning the tendril, freeing Sarah before it could drag her in. The crew pulled her back, her arm bruised, her heart broken. She sobbed, It's not him. It's not him anymore. The predator roared, the entire chamber trembling. Tendrils whipped out from the core, striking the floor, the walls, the humans. The crew fought desperately, firing plasma bolts, cutting with blades. But the ship healed each wound, each burn, its flesh closing as fast as they made it. Ensign Duran screamed as a tendril wrapped around his leg. Dragging him toward the core, his weapon slipped from his hand. He clawed at the floor, shouting, Help me! Captain Reyes and Sarah grabbed him. Pulling with all their strength, tendrils lashed their armor, sparks flying as their suits cracked with a final shot. Reyes blasted the tendril, severing it. Duran collapsed, gasping, tears in his eyes. It almost had me. It almost had me. The crew huddled together, weapons running hot, breathing heavy. Captain Reyes looked at the glowing mass, the heartbeat pounding louder, faster. He knew what had to be done. We can't save them. But we can end this. The predator's voice thundered, You cannot kill me. I am forever. I will feed on your children, and their children, Lieutenant Sarah shook her head, gripping her weapon. Not if we burn your heart. Captain Reyes opened the last pack of plasma charges. His hands shook, but his voice was steady. This is enough to burn it from the inside. He looked at his crew. But someone has to carry them in. And stay long enough to ignite. Silence fell. The crew stared at the glowing charges, then at each other. No one wanted to say it, but they all knew what it meant. A sacrifice, then, from the floor. A weak voice spoke. The alien survivor, thought dead, dragged itself forward. Its golden eyes dim but burning with resolve. Me. I stay. I burn it. Lieutenant Sarah shook her head, tears streaming. No, you'll die. The alien coughed, blood spilling from its mouth. Already dead. It fed on me. But I still fight. Let me end it. Captain Reyes hesitated, but the alien reached out, placing its trembling hand on the charges. Humans, you still have hope. Don't waste it. Let me give you time. The predator roared, its tendrils lashing wildly. Its voice filled the chamber, furious, mocking. One sacrifice will not save you. You will all be mine. The crew fired, covering the alien as it crawled toward the core. Dragging the charges, tendrils slammed around it, but it burned them with its last strength, step by step, closer to the pulsing heart. The crew screamed, fighting back the monster, their weapons glowing red from heat. The air filled with smoke, the stench of burning flesh. The heartbeat thundered, shaking the chamber like an earthquake. The alien reached the core, its body collapsing. Its last breath came with a weak smile. For all of us. Then the charges ignited. Light exploded through the chamber. Fire consumed the walls. The core shrieked, a sound like 1,000 voices dying at once. The ship shook violently. Tearing itself apart, the tendrils writhed, thrashing blindly, then burned to ash. Captain Reyes shouted, "Fall back. To the pods, now." The crew ran, the walls collapsing behind them. Corridors crumbling, flames chasing their heels. They reached the emergency escape pods. Slamming the doors shut, the pods launched, breaking free just as the living ship screamed one final time, its massive body tearing apart in the darkness of space. The crew floated in silence, watching as the monster burned. The stars lit the debris. The predator finally destroyed, but in the silence, one last whisper echoed through the comms. Faint mocking, "You cannot escape me." The silence of space returned. The rescue pods drifted far from the burning wreck. The crew of the Artemis sat inside their pod, their helmets off now, their faces pale, eyes wide, each of them breathing hard, each of them knowing they should be dead. Through the small windows, they watched the monstrous ship collapse. Its vast body cracked apart, flames bursting through its veins. Huge pieces drifted into the void, glowing red before cooling into black ash. The predator's final scream still rang in their minds, fading slowly into silence. Lieutenant Sarah pressed her forehead against the glass. Her voice broke softly. "It's over. It has to be over." Ensign Duran sat back, trembling. His hands shook so badly he couldn't grip his weapon anymore. "That thing, it played with us. It almost won." His voice cracked. "We never stood a chance." Captain Reyes sat in silence, his eyes fixed on the burning wreck. His jaw clenched, but his hands trembled. He finally said, "We survived. That has to mean something." For a moment, hope touched the crew. The alien survivor's sacrifice had given them this chance. The predator had been burned from the inside. Its heart destroyed, the ship torn apart. Surely it was dead. The pods floated closer to the human listening station. Rescue teams waited, pulling them in, medics rushing to check their wounds. The survivors stumbled out, their armor scorched, their eyes empty with shock. The commander of the station asked quickly, "What happened out there? What did you find?" Captain Reyes looked at him, his voice hoarse. "Not a ship. A predator. Living, feeding, wearing the dead as masks." His voice shook. "We destroyed it, but at a cost." The crew gave their reports. The medics tended their wounds, but no words could capture what they had seen. The faces, the voices, the lies. The station officers listened in silence, horror on their faces. Later, in the quiet of the medical bay, Sarah lay awake, staring at the ceiling. The whisper of her brother's voice still echoed in her head. She knew it had been false, a trick, but part of her still wanted to believe. Tears rolled down her cheeks. She whispered to herself, "You weren't real." "But you felt real." Ensign Duran sat nearby. Shaking, his nightmares had already begun. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw tendrils reaching for him. He heard his mother's voice crying for him. He whispered into the dark. I left you once. I won't leave you again. Though he knew she had been dead for years. Captain Reyes stood alone in the observation deck. Staring at the stars, his daughter's voice still haunted him. Calling from the walls of that monster, begging for help, he clenched his fists, whispering, I know you're gone. But I wanted to believe. His eyes burned with both sorrow and fury. Then an alarm rang through the station. Officers rushed to the control room. Screens flickered, signals flashing. Another rescue message had been received. The crew of the Artemis rushed in, their faces draining of color. The signal was almost identical. Static, broken words, a voice pleading, help, please, rescue. Captain Reyes whispered, no. It can't be, the station commander frowned. This signal is not from the wreck. It's from another location, far away. Light years away. The room fell into silence. The crew exchanged horrified looks. Their hearts sinking, their hope shattered. Lieutenant Sarah shook her head violently. No. We destroyed it, we saw it burn, but the signal repeated, louder, clearer. A human voice this time, help me. Please, I am trapped. Ensign Duran backed away from the screen, his face pale. There's more than one, he whispered. It's not alone. The Predator's laughter echoed in their memories, mocking them. I am forever. I will feed on your children. And their children. Captain Reyes slammed his fist against the console, his voice cracked with fury. How many of them are out there? How many more of these monsters drift in the dark? No one answered. The station grew silent. Everyone stared at the screen, the repeating message filling the air like a curse. Help me, please. I am trapped, Lieutenant Sarah whispered, tears sliding down her face. We thought we killed it, but this was only the beginning. The crew of the Artemis stood in silence. The stars stretched endlessly beyond the glass. For the first time, humanity realized the truth. The Predator was not one ship, not one monster, it was a species. A hunger that roamed the stars. A shadow that had been waiting for them. And the rescue messages would never stop.